So the fallen angels have returned. Now, the Mandela effect. This is another strange thing. I personally parallel shifted at least 6 times. I was born in 70, but when I was about 6, we moved to Yuma for a couple of years. And in first grade, I was about 5. The teacher reminded us that the buffalo were extinct. Now, that was common knowledge. She had a painting of a buffalo on the wall, but there was no pictures to date of any buffalo. They were completely extinct. Then, in the late 70s, there was a thing called smog that used to come down. I moved back to San Diego in 78. I don't never remember that until 78, 79. It would come down, I don't know, 5 times a month, and you would have to stay in your classroom during recess. Then in the 80s, that completely disappeared. But there was still Captain Crunch, but the smog thing never existed. Late 80s, the buffalo showed up. The smog thing never existed, but Captain Crunch was still Captain Crunch. That's actually a real new one. Other stuff happened, where the next generation came out in 1990, where I'm from, but then it turned out to be 87, because I went to another place. And then another place, people changed into different positions. I've parallel shifted at least 6 times. Mandela effect is 100% real. The rib cage has changed. The skeleton with the eyes, the bone behind the eyeballs, that's completely new. The skeleton used to have 3 floating ribs on the bottom. It had tips. And we had one less rib on one side, and we used to make jokes in school because Adam gave the rib to Eve. That was common knowledge. But here, the ribs are equally the same on both sides for men, and they connect on up. They're completely different than I remember them. I've definitely parallel shifted, and I thought Captain Crunch was a new, face change. Turns out here, there's never been a Captain Crunch ever. It's always been capital N Crunch, and you can never find Captain Crunch, which proves it's a whole other physical place. All these physical different realities, and people don't understand why. The Bible says there's one earth, one heaven. That's because before the fall, there was one. I think the name Adam has something to do with what's going on. I think we got vibrated to a smaller, molecular scale. Smaller, we're just, so I can't really explain what I mean, but I think there really is just one earth, one, but we're like broken down into pieces of it. That's why there's all these different multiple versions. We'll be bigger eventually again, and it'll all be one again. I don't know how else to explain it. I think we kind of separated with the fall of man. There's all these different versions of us because we have to get it right eventually to make it home.